All right, guys. So I found out that the same company that's responsible for the ceramics and the ceramic ultra, which are two very popular earbuds that we've talked about on the channel, has also made a retro, or basically like a premium retro style headphone. Like the old ones that looked like they came with the cassette players. We've talked about ones from Moondrop and Koss. So when I saw this, it immediately grabbed my attention because it does have a premium look. It doesn't look like the cheap plastic ones like are usually the style that these headphones are made from. And the pair that we're going to check out is called the Distant Mountain, which is honestly a very interesting name for a pair of headphones. But although it has this premium look to it, it only comes in right now at 55 bucks. Now, I think it says it normally retails for $70, but on Amazon and on their website right now, you can pick them up for 55. And again, I thought it was really intriguing and worth checking out, especially because of the success and the quality and all that I've seen with these ceramics and the ceramic ultras, because it just showed that they were giving you a lot for your money. And I was curious if they could do the same thing with an on-ear style headphone. So the first thing that stood out about these was the build quality and the look of them. The headband itself, even though it has stainless steel, which is underneath the actual lambskin leather that they used on the top, it is a fairly stiff headphone though. There's not a lot of give or flex or anything like that. It's basically like put it on your head, and that's it. There's no moving it around. It's stationary to exactly where it is. I mean, you can kind of bend it a little bit. So I would have liked to have seen the ear cups have a little bit more movement. It does use the sponge style ear pads, the flat ones that just kind of sit right there on your ears, but they've also included two that are open in the middle, basically like a normal pair of ear pads. This does affect the sound quality because this one not being flat, it causes these to not be as warm. So if the bass is a little bit too much for you with the normal ear pads, you might want to switch them over to this. And I like the fact that you have this option right out of the box. And speaking of right out of the box, one thing I do want to point out, again, very interesting that they've even included this, is they have this little acrylic stand that's an anime girl. I've seen a lot of companies, obviously Moondrop does a lot of things that revolve around like anime characters with their products, but for some reason that's included in the box, and that might be something some of you guys are interested in. And another thing that was interesting about these was that on the headphones themselves, they actually have like a metal grill. They have, a lot of little holes. That's what outputs the sound. But around the outside are ports. These are ports that are allowing these to kind of breathe a little bit and not have that bass be as, enclosed where it's causing some muddiness or some bloatedness to the sound. So they definitely did think this out quite a bit with the design of these headphones. As far as what else it comes with in the box, it does come with a very interesting cable. It is a fabric braided cable that kind of looks like one that would come with an IEM. The connection that goes to the headphones are the MMCX connections, which again are ones that you find with IEMs. And then the part that plugs into whatever device you're using is a normal 3.5mm just headphone jack. So it's just standard as far as the jack itself goes. And then it has the little control box where you can play and pause just by simply tapping the button, but it also has a mic located on here as well if you're going to take phone calls. And I think for the most part, the mic on here is decent. It'll be fine for taking phone calls. I don't think a lot of people will complain, but it also helps if you're going to use these for gaming. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a quick test of the mic.
So here is a quick little mic test outdoors using the Distant Mountain headphones. I can hear my neighbor's air conditioner unit outside. I actually hear a plane off to the side behind me. So this should give you a good idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call public.
So now let's just go ahead and jump into the sound. The first thing I want to point out is you're probably asking, do I need an amp for these? I'm going to go ahead and say no, because I think the way that they're tuned already is going to give you a lot out of the bass, the treble, in the mids just as it is. It has a low impedance level of only 32 ohms, and it has a sensitivity of up to 115 decibels. So it's very easy to drive no matter what you're plugging them into. And maybe that's why they didn't include a balance plug-in or a 1/4-inch plug-in, because it's not really made to plug into an amp. And I'm also going to say this, the drivers that they're using in here are 40mm composite drivers they are very powerful for this style of headphone. I did expect them to have a pretty good bit of punch to them because all of my experience with the retro style headphones, the one that have the sponge pads, have always just had a good amount of bass. But this is kind of taking it to another level. This even handles sub bass very well. So I think bass heads would be really surprised with these. But the other huge plus is it doesn't come in and affect the mids and the highs. In fact, the treble has a nice brightness to it. It's not a sibilant sound in the S's. It's not peaking or, having that overly harsh sound, but it is kind of close to that. And I think it does kind of have to be that way, especially with the low end being as punchy as it is. This is not trying to be flat or neutral. It's definitely tuned to be a dynamic or consumer friendly tuning. And it definitely pulls that off extremely well. And then when it comes to the mids have a nice warm approach to them, which I feel like kind of gives them more of a natural sound. It makes it feel like you would really hear somebody singing in a room with you. Same thing with like acoustic and electric guitars. They just have a nice tone to them. And I know that the bass is what's adding the warmth, but the good thing is there is still a nice, somewhat forward approach here. I could tell that the singer's like maybe a step or two in front of everything else. And throughout my testing, it never got muddied or jumbled depending on what I was listening to. Like it handled each genre very well. I could go from classical to easy listening to metal to pop or hip hop. And I think they handled everything well, which I feel like makes these very versatile. And the other thing is the soundstage and the sound imaging was excellent. And I don't know if it's the ports on the outside, I don't know if it's the style of headphone, but it definitely made me feel like I was in a very large open area. And I had no issue with being able to tell where different sounds are coming from. So my overall opinion on these, and to wrap this video up, is they sound fantastic and they look incredible. If you want something that's going to stand out, or you want something that doesn't have that cheap look to it, and you still want a retro style headphone, there's not really a whole lot of options that I've seen out there, and I think that the Distant Mountain definitely pulls it off. The only gripe that I have with these, the only complaint, is the headphones not having flexibility. I like to have everything kind of move a little bit, especially with flat ear pads. You want them to be able to angle the exact same way that your ears are angled. You don't want it to have like any kind of gap. You don't want it to have any of that. And sadly, you do have some of that with these headphones, but luckily it does not take away from the experience or the sound. It just, again, is something that I wish I would have a little bit of control over, but sadly I don't. There is no case with these. I would have liked to have seen that, especially because with the metal, you don't want these to get scratched up. I just would like to have these protected a little bit, especially if I'm just going to throw them in a bag and take them with me. But again, it's very unique. I don't have anything that I could actually compare them to, because you're getting an IEM style cable, you're getting the MMCX connection, and you're getting premium materials basically on a product that's normally made of all plastic. So yeah, this is definitely a premium approach, but still fairly affordable, coming in at around $55. So this is one I've had fun testing, and definitely a product that I could recommend. But guys, that wraps up my video on the Distant Mountain retro premium style headphones. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.